Schizophenik's Guide to the Architecture of Gotham City.
The architecture of Gotham City has altered over the years, combining an array of designs from different periods in history. The most influential figure in designing its architecture during the 19th century pre-American Civil War era was Judge Solomon Wayne, also known as Bruce Wayne's great-great-grandfather. His campaign to reform Gotham came to fruition when he met a young architect named Cyrus Pinckney. Wayne commissioned Pinckney to design and build the first Gotham-style structures in what became the centre of the city's financial district. Pinckney's design rationale incorporated large buildings to act as a defensive wall for Gotham, shielding it from criminality. Ironically, however, the self-inflicted barricade worked to keep criminals within the city. Solomon Wayne and Pinckney's work came to be known as the Gotham style, a dark, foreboding environment that is reminiscent of the Gothic revival in style and timing. Subsequently, Alan Wayne expanded upon his father's ideas and built a bridge to expand the city. Edward Elliot and Theodore Cobblepot also each had a bridge named after them. Gotham borrows from a variety of architectural periods and styles, with exaggerated characteristics such as grand multi-tiered flying buttresses on cathedrals, brooding Gothic spires, and vast Art Deco and Nouveau statuary. The Gothic influence. Gotham's Gothic influence paralleled the Gothic revival period of the mid-18th century. During this period, architecture reverted back to the Gothic style of medieval times. This style of architecture was heavily influenced by religion. It was vertically emphasized, almost reaching towards God. The stained glass windows often depicted stories from the Bible and from the lives of saints. The religious symbolism of reaching towards the heavens is what Gotham aspires to, however fails to achieve. It is a God-forsaken city. As a result, Batman is Gotham's saint and necessary saviour. The structures were skeletal stone, featuring great expanses of stained glass, tapered wall surfaces supported with external flying buttresses. Buildings possessed pointed arches around doors and windows, as well as sharp spires on rooftops. The geometrical and mathematical construction of these buildings also symbolized an orderly universe in which logic and rationale prevail over all. Again, this idea of reason is absent from Gotham, as its criminals seem to show little logic with their actions. What Gotham needs is order and logic, and Batman is the person who is trying to instate this within the city. There are a plethora of stone gargoyles on the buildings of Gotham City, such as the 13 gargoyles on Wayne Tower. Gargoyles came into Gothic architecture in the early 13th century and acted as a water spout projecting from the upper part of the building with the purpose of deflecting water clear from the walls. The origin of the word gargoyle comes from the French word gargoyle, meaning throat. These gargoyles often featured a grotesque face and sat upon a roof gutter. They often depicted an ugly human face, an animal, mythical creature, or chimeras. Aside from their purpose as a method for drainage, these stone sculptures were intended to intimidate and were used by lords upon their castles to ward off their enemies. Therefore, their secondary purpose is to serve as a guardian, both representing and defending against evil. As a result, Gotham's architecture works symbolically. Gotham needs to ward off evil, yet simultaneously represents malevolence. Gotham's ultimate guardian is Batman, who when perched upon these gargoyles, visually becomes part of the city he watches over. His zoomorphic representation as a bat sees him seamlessly blend in with Gotham's gargoyle guardians. Conversely, gargoyles were also externally placed on churches to remind those outside of the church of the terrifying creatures residing in hell. Obviously, it would be inappropriate to convey Satan upon the church roof, therefore the gargoyles with a similar appearance had to suffice. These gargoyles, however, had no place inside the church, suggesting safety and sanctity within. Ultimately, these gargoyles were employed to ensure attendance within the church. Just like the demonic gargoyles, bats conjure images of hell, and perhaps Batman is the evil icon that Gotham needs to restore some order. This is the idea that evil must meet a greater evil in order for it to be completely abolished. The Art Deco influence. The architectural style of Art Deco made its debut in Paris in 1903 and 4, with the construction of two apartment buildings in Paris. The buildings had clean lines, rectangular forms, and no decoration on the facades. After the First World War, Art Deco buildings of steel and reinforced concrete began to appear in large cities across Europe and North America. In the United States, the style was most commonly used for office and government buildings, movie theatres, and railroad stations. The tops of the buildings were decorated with crowns and spires covered with stainless steel, and, in the case of the Chrysler Building, with Art Deco gargoyles modelled after radiator ornaments. Buildings in this style had rounded corners, long horizontal lines, and sometimes had nautical features, such as railings that resembled those on a ship. The Art Deco architecture gave the city a machine aesthetic that also represented the Industrial Revolution. Gotham both is and looks like a city of industry. In addition, the large-scale statues that look like those of the fascist Soviet era only add to this industrial and oppressive feel. Perhaps this suggests that Gotham is oppressed, trapped in the vice-like grip that is criminality. Conversely, Art Deco is a style that displays wealth. Associated with both luxury and modernity, Art Deco combined very expensive materials and exquisite craftsmanship, then put them into modernistic forms. Nothing was cheap about Art Deco. Perhaps this represents what Gotham wanted to stand for, an affluent city that tried to move away from its traditional Gothic roots and into the modern age. A city that wants to look forwards instead of backwards. Therefore, Gotham feels like a city on top of another city, not only through the eclectic Gothic and Art Deco mix, but the sheer volume of buildings. Ultimately, this creates a claustrophobic labyrinth of clutter, casting shadows wherever you went. As a result of this, Gotham possesses an abundance of alleyways, such as the infamous Crime Alley, where Thomas and Martha Wayne were murdered. It is because of events like this that many people have an innate fear of alleyways. Clichés like, "I would hate to run into him in a dark alley," exist for a reason. Alleyways are transitional spaces that link to other areas which hold their own threats and possibilities. These threshold spaces are areas of departure as well as arrival. We do not know what might be lurking in a dark alley or what might be emerging. As a result, we wish to leave the alley and enter a safer space. Conversely, it is within these dark alleys where Batman thrives as he takes on Gotham's criminals. Gotham's alleyways are Batman's labyrinth, where he entraps his foes. Scattered amongst these Gothic spires and tall rectangular deco buildings are a plethora of animated billboards and neon light advertisements. These resplendent notices offer some much-needed illumination to an otherwise dark city. Perhaps these signs point to a bright future for Gotham. Therefore, Gotham's architectural design suggests three periods: the 18th century Gothic, the post-World War I Art Deco, and the postmodern future. When combined, these features give Gotham its unique appearance. Since the events of Cataclysm, however, the face of Gotham City has changed dramatically. In an attempt to repair and improve the city, Lex Luthor took the challenge of rebuilding Gotham, which was devastated by an enormous earthquake. Gotham's old Art Deco and Gothic structures were replaced with modern glass skyscrapers and buildings. Newly erected glass towers stand side by side with granite Gothic citadels that remain from the old city. Over the years, Gotham has changed on multiple occasions. However, what remains the same is its striking and unmistakable blend of magnificent architecture.
This was your guide to the architecture of Gotham City.